All right, well, door's closed, so I'll get started. Yeah, kill that.
Yeah, get rid of it. Don't worry about it. All right, go ahead. Yep.
All righty. So this is going to be pretty much a live demo because really it's the only way to show you guys that it really works and it's not a bunch of fake PowerPoint slides. So provided I can get this thing to move to the next slide, which I can't, obviously. All right. Well, anyway, I'm going to cover a bunch of different points on this and how it works and basically show you as part of a live demo, it really works going remotely over REST protocol, which is HTTP, in real time, interacting with anything on OpenVMS. In this case, the most common thing we do is interact with RMS files. So here is our API directory that houses everything. And here's our data directory. I have a file in here called demo.dat. So we're going to do a directory full on demo.dat. And you can see this is a real sequential indexed RMX file. So straight, clear, it's now at the current time is empty. If I would have typed it correctly. Empty, it's previously been manipulated. So if I ran a dump, which is very hard to see, you'll see the old stuff that's flagged for deletion. We can go type demo.fdl. And you can see straightforward, normal FDL, one key. Let's see. So type demo.dat. And just so you guys know, this this tool I'm using is located here on my computer, and it's interacting with a 2660 data center in Mesa, Arizona. So is everybody here somewhat familiar with REST? Okay. For those of you that aren't, REST is an HTTP method of getting in and out of data via an API without a persistent connection. So it uses HTTP protocol. So if, for instance, we want to run and get everything out of that RMS file, we see that it's empty. And we can confirm that by typing this and seeing, yes, it's empty. If we want to add a record, you can see down here the REST payload, which is going to be adding a record. We can run that. And for some reason, that's not working. That's not good. Oh. It helps for start the API. Well, you know, this so this API I'm running, this normally runs detached in, sorry about this, guy. Thank you very much. Yeah, well, you know, it really, it's the only way to show this, really. It's okay, so so this is running the API interactively. Normally it runs detached. You can run multiple instances of the API on one machine. You just assign the port, you assign the name in the config file, which I will show you. Okay, so this is our config file, and this handles all the translation between the API and whatever you want to access on the OS. You can map all the fields from RMS, and we've handled pretty much every type of data type that's needs to be decoded from RMS. And then towards the end of this file, we tell it the section to look for, whether it's a dev instance or a prod instance of the API, and other normal things like port. We also have a parameter that's API wide called max records, and you'll see how that operates in a minute. But basically, it's if you hit and request more than 10,000 records from the RMS file, HTTP doesn't really like waiting for a long time. Plus, it's really nasty for the customer. So it will go ahead and send a response code saying, come back later. And then it will spool and convert everything to JSON, store it temporarily on the hard drive. And so if you submit the same query within a few seconds, it'll either be finished and then feed you the result, or it will say, come back later, I'm still busy. So we'll go ahead and start this guy back up. Go over to the REST tool, and we're going to add a record for Alice. So you can see now that the API is running, it took this JSON payload and added a record to the file. And we can do that several times for different things. We can add a record for another guy here, Bob, and then we can say we want to see everything in the RMS file. And now we have 2 records in there. And if you look at the type, we have 2 records. A 3rd record just for the heck of it. And again, this is interacting from my JSON tool here, which the intention is this is more of a development tool, but you can have basically any platform agnostic app consume REST. So you can have an iPhone app, you can have a website, you can have Microsoft Power BI, it doesn't matter. You get this data in and out in real time. And like I said, anything. We've set up a health monitoring app so that we can query OpenVMS and we can know there's this much disk space, and whatever you want to know, pretty much anything you can do the console, we can securely configure in the config.json to allow that result, whatever it is, to go out via JSON. No, we've written this, and when we give it to the customer, it's with source code, and they either license it and beat it up themselves like Lauren's team has, or they just come to us as a solution. They don't care what happens on OpenVMS, they just want it to work in and out. I can't hear you, Brett, sorry.
There are some open source bits in there with Python and Flask web server.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I grew up in the late 60s in the Bay Area, and I got no hearing. So
let me put a bow on what his question was. The answer, what this is a piece of VMS software implemented on top of Python, as Brett rightly says. It serves as an API, as an application programmer interface, so that your web developers in particular, your folks who are sitting out there on a Windows or a Linux platform, wishing that they had access to data ensconced in VMS flat files can actually get to it. We actually replaced, or are in the process of replacing, the abomination known as Tunity with this product. It's absolutely working great. It's lightweight. It does what it says it does with minimum must and trust. Jeff sitting right beside me, this Jeff right beside me, had actually concocted some really intelligent software for creating those JSON interfaces to the various files. You need an interface file, an interface definition for every RMS file. It describes the layout, and then the API can communicate with the
Actually, I had you do this, Preston.
because you jumped right into it, Jeff, because I know you know this stuff whole. But the point is, you get data out of VMS into a RESTful API situation where your web developers can actually cope with it. That's the magic here.
Yeah. Thank you, Lauren, because I'm not a basics kind of guy. I kind of, like Lauren said, jumped right into it. Yes.
What version of Python?
Well, it supports 2 and 3.
No, which version of 2?
Whatever. It doesn't matter. It's using all the JFP.
So you tested it in all the versions?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It uses all the old JFP RMS libraries that are in the the OpenVMS distribution of Python.
And then, so you're not using any version specific Python?
No.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And then, IAM,
I'm not familiar with.
identity and access management.
Okay.
How do I prove to the system that I'm allowed to read that?
However, the permissions for Python are set. Is that? I don't.
Okay, we'll talk later.
Okay, thank you. All right, so a couple other things about REST. REST has a couple different ways of updating files remotely. One is called patch, where it only updates the field that's specified, and the other is put, where it updates all the fields. So for instance, we can change Alice's first name in real time to Arnold, and we can execute that. And then we can look back here and see now Alice is Arnold. And we can do the same thing with a put, but we have to send the entire row rather than just a field. Just one thing to show you here. Like Lauren was saying, something that is they're doing and we've done for a customer in the past, and we're working on it right now, is this is a customer self-serve banking portal for a customer who's been anonymized for this presentation. But this allows interaction via a remote web server over the API with all the data stored on OpenVMS and RMS files. So for instance, if we chose to log into this portal as this demo guy, what it would do is when you hit the login button, it would send an API request to search one of the RMS files based on the username and return the entire RMS row, which includes the one-way encrypted password, whole bunch of demographic info. We compare the one-way encrypted password that was entered here with the one-way encrypted password that comes back from RMS. We decide to allow him to proceed or not. And then if he's allowed to proceed, we do a whole bunch more calls in the background just to get data to format the page, or to populate the page rather. And we do that across the board. I can show you all this kind of nice looking stuff, but it gives, there's a couple things about it. It doesn't put a load on VMS to do all this kind of stupid stuff of making web pages and graphs and all that. It just pulls what it needs from RMS to do this at another location.
Yeah, can you pull, of course, multiple index RMS files Like with joints.
Well, we could, but we require that to happen with the RMS files at this end, whatever the consuming end is, we let you guys do that. I mean, we could do it in the API, but, and if you are using RDB or Oracle or any other relational database, obviously we do it then. But with RMS, no, we pull each individual file and it's up to the end user to format however he wants. Yes.
Looking to migrate RMS files to a database, which would be the type of tool.
Yeah, in fact, thank you for bringing that up. That's a good segue. A lot of people use this when they're migrating off of OpenVMS or a bunch of different reasons, but it allows you to side by side compare as you go, or keep your Microsoft SQL Server, whatever you want, updated based on the RMS files. It also does all the standard stuff, file lock, row lock, respecting all that stuff. So you don't have any problems there. That's all I got, guys.
Show the JSON file again that you showed earlier.
The config file?
Yeah.
Sure.
Going to be that's where the heavy lifting goes as far as setting this up.
Yes.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, Jeff knows his file really well. I mean, here everything is in the root JSON file, but on larger systems, we let them have different directories to categorize the files, either file types, file paths, whatever. The root config file specifies a default data directory, so you don't have to specify the full path every time you map a file.
Yeah, RDB behind it could it automatically generate this file or the data description?
RDB?
If you have anything with a data description with a DDT.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Right.
RDB is, more of a relational thing, so that's super easy. This is,
So right, if you already have a schema, could you automatically generate this file from the schema?
well, this file isn't necessary for RDB.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, this is just, okay, that's just.
This is just to map the flat files.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, hopefully everybody. They should have been happy with flat files to begin with, and we'd be good.
We used them for quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see about this. So just an FYI, we have a large ISP in Canada. Haven't been involved for about 10 years, but I know they're still on the same platform. Integrity with VMS, it's got over 4 million, now it's 12 years ago, 4 million customers. And it's a 5-node integrity cluster, all RMS files and over basically.
Yeah. Well, we have this big customer that I showed you the GUI for. He's a complete huge app, 700 deck basic apps that run together. And we're porting him to x86 right now. And Brett's familiar with this one. This is a big bank, and they basically told me, we're going to Amazon and Azure, you figure it out.
So is there a way to intercept the call and run my Python structure before returning the result? Because I don't want my client telling me what my primary key ID is. So I do not want my client telling me the primary key for any in a post.
You don't want them to need you know that.
Well, yeah, but
Don't want them to
this will
dictate that.
Are you just trying to obfuscate the fact that
It's like, we do not want them to do that. We also want to be able to potentially do a two-phase commit
Right,
So
okay.
that's more.
In RMS?
No, I mean, we might have RMS, so we might want to be able to distribute it over a couple of different, or we might want to be updating two different files from one.
Oh, yeah, that's no problem.
Okay.
That's no problem.
So would I do that with a custom Python script then, or?
No, we just modify the API to point to wherever you want.
No, I don't want two API calls. I want to have one host. And then if my data structures were in two different files, I want to be able to make sure both files are updated before returning a 200.
Yeah, that's not a big deal. We make the modification. You're talking about two different RMS files.
Yes, right.
You're running in the same hardware
Yeah,
environment.
right.
Yeah, no problem. That's no problem.
But would I do that, or is that something I have to contact you about?
You could do it. We give you the source code.
Okay, all right, okay, all right. Oh, that's, yeah, all right.
Yeah, or we do it for you. I mean,
Yeah, okay.
like I said, we have two different kinds of customers. We have customer like Lauren, who gets into the details and
Right.
never bothers us.
Right.
Then we got other customers that call me 3 times a day.
Who don't know what, yeah, it's like, I need you to do this thing.
Yeah, and they just want a
All
solution.
right.
They don't care about any of this stuff.
Okay.
They just want to be able to hit the API and get back what they want.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Good deal. All right, well, thanks for coming, guys.